Buenos dias, Dr. Dunbar. Good morning, Dr. Dunbar. Today I will be going over my research proposal. What impact does behavior management strategies have on poor classroom behavior? So I chose to focus on poor classroom behavior because this is by far an area that I need to work on. Last year I had a student that had poor classroom behavior and all the strategies that I used did not help. And in addition, I got to a point where I did not look forward to going to work, and I even had to get on blood pressure medicine, so my health was actually impacted by it. Thus, the problem this research study will address is poor classroom behavior. For this research proposal, the research question will be, what impact does behavior management strategies have on poor classroom behavior? Thus, the purpose for this research study is to determine the impact that behavior management strategies has on poor classroom behavior. And my hypothesis is that there will be a statistically significant decrease on classroom disruptions once the student uses behavior modification strategies. So, like I said before, the strategies that I used with my student did not work. The one strategy that I honestly did not use was behavior modification strategy. So after reading about it, I believe that behavior modification strategies are better at addressing poor classroom behavior because they are differentiated to the student and they decrease poor behavior and they promote positive classroom culture. If you look at this graphical representation by Marzano, Mazzarner, and Pickering, it shows that the rules and procedures, disciplinary interventions, and teacher-student relationships, which are the strategies that I actually used, are not as effective as the mental state strategies, which are the behavior management strategies. So once students become aware of their actions, it's much more effective. So to support my proposal for this research, I will now go over my literature review. So I have chosen 4 theories because we have more than 20 students in our classroom, so one approach might not work for another. So the first one that I would like to go over is Maslow's theory, which focuses on fulfilling needs. So the hierarchy of needs will contribute to a person's behavior. So if a student's being defiant, it could be because one of their needs is not being met. The next one is Skinner's operant condition theory. So I believe that teachers need to take a little bit more time to teach their students to look at what's triggering their behavior and what consequences there are for their behavior. However, teachers need to be careful with this theory because they can easily confuse consequences with punishment. The next one is Isaac's theory, which asks us to look at a person as a whole, inside and out, and what is causing the behavior. The next one is the applied behavior theory. So this one is more of a specific approach that is used for behavior modification that teaches a new behavior. What I do like about this one is that if the behavior is not improving, so a new approach can be then substituted in this one. And I also like this one because it is more commonly used with students that have autism and ADHD. These are the 4 theories on behavior, and there are many more. So behavior, in my opinion, is not easy to manage. We all have our beliefs on how to manage it. However, if you look at this graphical representation, which is also by Marzano, Mazzarner, and Pickering, there are far less disruptive behaviors when teachers use disciplinary interventions. So we know that disciplinary interventions are necessary. So matter of fact, a poll by the American Federation of Teachers shows that teachers are losing several hours of instruction time due to disruptive behavior, which is, in my case, an issue. Was an issue last year. In addition, the Scholastics and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation reported that behavior problems are increasing each year. So if you look at this poll, I want to look at the percentage of elementary teachers because that's my area, and so 68% of elementary teachers are seeing an increase on disruptive behavior. Before going any further, let's go over what teachers consider poor classroom behavior. So there are distracting classroom behaviors and oppositional behaviors. So distracting behaviors are just talking constantly during instruction, interrupting others, teasing. The more severe ones are refusing to stay in the seat during instruction, which I really don't have an issue with, but other teachers put this as an oppositional behavior. Refusing to participate or to do classroom work, vulgar language, which I've never had to deal with. Harassment, I also did not deal with. I think that's more for the upper grades. And then throwing things, which is the issue that I had last year, like throwing chairs and flipping tables and stuff like that. So now, It is evident that poor classroom behavior is a behavioral issue, but what are the reasons? So some of the symptoms can be are because of like trauma and stress. So by looking at Maslow's law of hierarchy and Isaac's theory, we can infer that poor classroom choices are symptoms of circumstances that are causing the stress and trauma. In addition, poor classroom behavior can be from environmental circumstances that reinforce the bad behavior. So if you look at the last bullet on here, Parson explains that it also has to be remembered that children bring to school all sorts of concerns, distresses, and reactions and patterns of behavior that are established, permitted, and supported outside of the classroom. Now that poor classroom behavior has been established as a problem and behavior modification has been established as the best solution, I want to propose 3 behavior modification strategies. Sorry, here we go. The first one is positive reinforcement. So that one's very easy. So if like the student is prone to yelling out in the classroom, that student can use positive reinforcement to redirect the behavior. So like just having them raise their hand, and every time that they raise their hand versus yelling out, you praise them and you acknowledge that they raise their hand. The second one is consequences. So this strategy is a little bit more time consuming, but it's important that consequences not be confused with punishment. According to Bailey, consequences teach children to examine their behavior and make changes until they reach their goal. The third strategy is more detailed and much more time consuming. This is where we examine what happens before the behavior, what behavior the student displayed, and then what were the consequences. So once a pattern has been established, then the consequences can be changed to promote a behavior change. So for this, I will use a mixed methodology. And so for the qualitative data, we are going to be using a pre-intervention survey and a post-intervention survey for teachers to fill out to show their thoughts and opinions about management strategies in the school setting. It'll be reliable because the same questions will be for the pre and post survey. In addition, the teachers will be sent the survey at the same time with the same deadline. In addition, the teachers will be emailed the survey for completion versus doing it in person to kind of give them that privacy. They'll be more prone to wanting to fill it out and their opinion being true. And then to avoid the research bias, another person will help analyze and interpret the data. Now, in addition to that, the validity of it is that the internal validity is that the teacher's knowledge and opinion of the student's behavior impact their ability to implement these behavior interventions. For the external validity, the survey can be used at schools where there is and there's not behavior strategies that are implemented. For the quantitative data, the ABC observation form will be used to document the behavior. So the reliability of this is that the observation form will be used to document the unwanted behavior each time to pinpoint the triggers of the behavior. The behavior will also be documented by the classroom teacher and another member of the RTI team to avoid participant bias. And then to avoid research bias, the RTI team will help the teacher analyze and interpret the data. Now for the validity of it, internal validity is that the teacher will try to document the behavior even without the student's knowledge. So in other words, like, when the student is showing this behavior, the teacher will try to fill this form out without the student knowing so that the student doesn't act differently. And then the external validity is that it can be used with other staff members and at schools where intervention strategies have and have not been implemented. Now for privacy and confidentiality, the students' names will be replaced with numbers. The student and their parents will be informed of the study and their rights, so they will be informed that they can drop out of the study whenever they want. And then If there's any complaints, they will be addressed immediately, and then the school RTI team will help prevent any harm to the participants. The RTI team, which is the response to intervention team, will be composed of the teacher, the counselor, the principal, and the interventionist. I like this because there's many different areas of expertise in this. And then the meeting with the parents will be in person to ensure the privacy, and the teacher will only discuss this during RTI meetings. Now, the ethical concerns that I have is maybe some teachers will discuss the progress of other students with another teacher. This is stressed to us all the time, so this came to mind. The other one is discrimination between having more boys and girls in the study, because boys have been known to have more behavior issues than girls, so this will have to make sure to be look on that. And then having more than one race than another. Now, for the variables for this study, we will be measuring the consistency of the disruptions to the teacher that the teacher considers as disruptive. In addition, we'll be measuring the impact that the behavior strategies have. So is the behavior decreasing, the poor behavior decreasing. Anyways, the dependent variable here will be the behavior, since it will always be present whether it is poor or good, and it'll be measured by the ABC approach documents. Now, the independent variable here will be the behavior management strategies, since we will have to use them, and they will have to be different for each student. And it will be measured by the effectiveness of the ABC approach document. Now, for the research study, very quickly, we select the teachers, we give them the surveys, the pre-surveys, and the students are selected, and then those students and the parents will be contacted. They will be explained their rights and the process of the study, and then the RTI team will sit with the teacher to discuss the behavior issues that she is seeing in the classroom or he is seeing in the classroom, and then the intervention strategy will be used to pick for that student that best fits them. Then the RTI team will go over the ABC approach document with the teacher, stress the importance of the documentation of it. Then the teacher will track the progress of the behavior with the documents, and then after a month, the teacher will determine if the strategy needs to be switched or not. And then at the end of the second month, the teacher will take the post-survey and give opinion on the strategies. Now, for the results, I believe that I'll have similar results to the ones I'm about to show you. I was not able to implement my proposal. My class only requested that I submit a proposal. We were not allowed to actually implement it. So I believe that by implementing behavior management strategies, the poor classroom behavior in my class would decrease. So if you look at this one here, before behavior modification strategies were in place, you see that green. So like the student never, for example, uses a calm tone with others, or uses words to express during conflicts. Some had seldom and often, but if you look at the results after the strategies were implemented, the never went away. So like the behavior not went away completely, but it got better. So there was more blue, so more often than none, the student was able to follow instructions, work with others, use classroom materials. If you look at this classroom, more students were able to think about their actions and make the proper modifications. The only change that I see right now, because I wasn't able to actually implement my proposal, so I don't know if there would be other changes, but I think by just reviewing my proposal, the change that I would propose is having more parent participation, because I do believe that students learn from observing others. So having the parent maybe display some of the behavior modifications at home, and then keeping us updated at school, whether or not the strategies were working. I think it's something that I would like to change on my proposal, because at the end of the day, the goal is for the student to learn how to avoid unwanted behaviors, because in society, we're not like in school, we're a little bit more forgiving. So they're eventually going to get older, and we want them to be, able to be in society and not get in trouble. So thank you so much, and I hope you like my proposal. Bye.